Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Lauren Heineck. I'm the host of Well Tempered, the podcast, and also the admin of the Well Tempered Facebook group. And I'm going to be live today with Patricia Baker of Eating the Chocolate Alphabet, also known as Trish, and she's going to be coming in just a moment. Thank you all for being here. It is certainly an interesting time in our history, and I'm very grateful that the organizers of the festival, the IICCT, Uncommon Cacao, and Emily Mantooth of the Craft Chocolate Experience have allowed us a platform to share an episode today. So this will be an alternative to normally how I do things on the Well Tempered podcast. You're finally getting to see my face, and I finally don't have a microphone, which is both unusual for me and maybe for you, but I'm really honored to kickstart this Stay Home with Chocolate Festival, and Trish is here with me.
Yay! Yeah, and I also don't usually have my photo up on Instagram, so I'm a little anonymous. So everybody who hasn't met me in person gets to now see what I look like and all of my penguins in the background.
Indeed. Yes, I usually tell people that they don't have to take a shower and they can wear their pajamas, but it looks like we've changed the scenario for today. So we'll dive into what the episode will be because we just have 30 minutes together. But we are going to be talking about Trish's journey to engage with the craft chocolate community as a chocolate blogger and chocolate taster. And just to give a little rundown of what that's going to be like so you can follow along at home. We are going to be talking about her collection, how she acquired it and how she goes about tracking, how she tastes at home, the collaborations and networking aspect of her business and hobby, and then finally, chocolate in community. So Trish, why don't you take a moment just to walk us through some of the beginning stages of the blog and maybe with some numbers and stats of where you are today.
Sure. So I started Instagram in 2016 around January. So it's been it's been 4 years now, and I did it more as an outlet. I enjoy chocolate, I enjoy writing, I enjoy sharing knowledge with people, and so then I just thought that this would be a fun way to share my experiences with people. So then Eating the Chocolate Alphabet has a theme A through Z, and I've gone through 3 full rounds. No letters were skipped. I'm on round 4 of Eating the Chocolate Alphabet, and I've kind of lost a little bit of enthusiasm about that, and so I've been skipping some letters, but I'd say I maintain a spreadsheet so that I know exactly where my chocolates are stored. I have 2 wine fridges that are stocked, and then I have overflow. And in the last 4 years, I'd say that I've tried about 1,500 chocolate bars. Represents about more than 300 brands. I didn't really track how many origins necessarily, but then I love Instagram because it's more immediacy. There's that instant rapport with people. They have comments, they have suggestions. It's more of a community, I find. And then the blog, the Eating the Chocolate Alphabet blog, is more for the deep dive, where I can really research something and be able to teach people some of the things that I've learned.
Sure. So talk us through a little bit about the Excel, or about how you've managed that and maybe what it looks like for someone that would want to emulate that within their own collection or would-be collection. Sure. How did you come to organize such a...
Yeah, so then I started off in an apartment that gets to be about 100 degrees during the summer. Summers are brutal in Southern California. And so then getting a wine fridge was a game changer. That now I was able to stock things, but then when I had 4 shelves to manage, it was easy. And then once I got a second wine fridge with 6 more shelves, now I didn't know where the bars were. If I was looking for something, I'd have to open up the fridge, look through each one of the bags. So what I do is I keep like items together in a plastic bag, sealed, and then with little desiccant pellets to make sure that there's no humidity in the wine fridges. And so then the spreadsheet is in alphabetical order, and then it will have the name of the maker, it'll have the origin, it'll have the percentage, it'll have things that are searchable, so that if I'm like we're going to touch on later the tangential tasting Twin Tuesday. If I'm looking for a particular bar, rather than having to remember things, I just put a search in Excel and say, I'm looking for X. And then it gives me all of the options and I can choose from there.
Cool. And how do you go about ensuring that either you don't repeat a certain bar or a maker, or how are you also finding new releases of chocolates that you're interested in
Sure.
trying?
So I really love variety. I'm kind of like the ADD chocolate consumer, that I like new and different things. So then I don't know, I guess I won't say that I have a good memory, but I think I do, that I remember bars, and so I know what I've already tasted. And then the spreadsheet kind of helps to make sure that I don't have any duplicates. I hardly ever eat the same bar twice. I mean, it feels bad that I'd like to be able to support makers and keep on buying the same product, but I really like it when they have a variety of things, and then I can always be choosing different things. So I
And
find,
you've even had the case,
pardon?
I'm sorry, you've even had the case that there have been makers that have made limited editions specifically with you in mind. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. And so then, touching back on one of your other questions, how do I find out about things? I actually have found out things through other bloggers or other people on Instagram, that we all influence each other. I think that if somebody has a bar that I'm interested in, I'm going to want to try it as well, and I think it's vice versa. So, but yeah, Map Chocolate made the map of my dreams, that I was working on a project and I couldn't find anyone who had an X inclusion. And so I reached out to her and asked if she'd be interested in making it, and she did. And then there was another collaboration where you were involved when I needed an origin for the letter Y, and you
Right.
found somebody in Belize who had it. I connected with them. And then I reached out to some of the makers and asked who had the bandwidth to be able to put the bar together for me, and they did. And it was, I couldn't have been more thrilled that really chocolate builds community or creates community.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wow, wonderful. So let's see here, where with all of these chocolates you have at a time, surviving through the weather in Los Angeles, at what point are you interested in tasting chocolate? Or when is for you the moment to go to your stash and say, today is either just because I'm craving it, or today is because I'm going to actually taste and go through the process of creating a blog?
Right. So then I try to post at least once per day. And then there's a couple of calendar Instagram accounts where they do theme days, like today is chocolate chip cookie day, or this is pistachio day, or something like that. So then that's one of the first things that I'll do in the morning, that I'll check um, my friends' feeds to see what they've posted. Maybe I'll get inspiration from them. Maybe I know that it's a theme day, so then I'll plan ahead on that. I like to taste in the morning when my palate is fresh. Um, Sometimes that isn't possible if I have a lot of other obligations, but I always try to set aside some time to do things mindfully. And so then I like the little details. Like I'll look at the packaging and I might find something unusual about that, or I'll unwrap the bar and there might be a swirl pattern on the way that they've deposited the chocolate from the mold into the mold, and it's just the little things that I don't know, I'm like a kid in some regards, that I appreciate the little things. So some days I have inspiration, and some days I find inspiration through other people within the community.
And I've really appreciated that about you as well, just watching how you've developed and taken all these brands into consideration, is there's been something about the way that you almost appreciate imperfection that I think has allowed some of us makers to be a bit more forgiving in what could be accepted, quote unquote, not to demean the craft, but to acknowledge that there's a lot of things that are done by hand and then therefore irregular.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I remember for the advent calendar that Little Beetle had put together, and that you were one of the makers who had contributed. And I remember that you specifically asked her to send me particular pieces of chocolate that happened to have either more inclusions or were a little bit anomalous, because you knew that I would appreciate it. And
Exactly.
sometimes I feel bad pointing out some of the little things, because people want to be perfect. We all want to be perfect, but it's appreciating the little nuances that I think really bring some life to the chocolate, or to our appreciation, that you are making such an effort to put the chocolates in our hands, and we should appreciate it.
Surely. And maybe what you even find out about that person through their chocolate or through their technique.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I know that there's a brand in Israel who had a very unusual looking bar, and it was just interesting to find out more about how they what machinery they used, or what their process was. And I enjoy finding out things and then imparting that information to my audience, whether it be friends or whether it be other chocolate lovers.
And you're also a very excellent writer. So how do you go about parlaying that to the audience? Like, what are you intending to get across? Is it that they think about a bar, purchase a bar?
So what I like to do is I like to walk them through the process as if they were right next to me. That I want them to have the experience as I'm experiencing it. That I want them to feel like they've tried the chocolate with me, and then hopefully that they'll be interested in buying it themselves. So then I have something that I call the EAT method. So E is for the exterior. So it might be the packaging, it might be the shine, it might be some imperfections. The A is the aroma, either pre and post snap. And then T is for taste. So then I put myself in mind of somebody, the regular consumer, having them enjoy the chocolate along with me. And it's always so gratifying to have people say, oh, I felt like I could taste it with you, that you've described it in a way that it was accessible and brought memories to the table. And so then, I don't know, I enjoy being able to have people come along my journey. And it's the same way that I enjoy reading other people's posts about what they've tasted, and be it compare and contrast sometimes. That if I find myself struggling on a particular flavor, I might look at Victoria's post, or I might look at Shay's post, or I might look at other people that I admire and be able to say, oh yeah, I taste the same thing, or wow, I couldn't articulate it and they did it, and now I agree completely with what they had to say.
Incredible. And we'll be taking away that EAT method. I like that. And then within that, so you're mentioning this connection with other users of social media who might be tasting the same thing or inspiring you to do things a certain way. Do you feel that there's a message that the industry might take away from bloggers on a whole in terms of what they are acknowledging or recognizing in craft chocolate today that in the makers is not something that has yet come to pass or been acknowledged?
So one of the things that really makes my day and really kind of makes me smile is when I post something and then a maker takes the time to acknowledge it. That they will either comment, or they'll repost, or they'll say something, and that makes me feel like I'm not shouting into the void. It makes me feel like, oh wow, they recognized my effort, they appreciated it, that they've acknowledged, and they've made me feel validated. And it's that little thing that I think that people need to take the time, that it's a mutual appreciation society, right? That we as consumers enjoy the product, and then the makers need to realize that we've taken time and energy to try and promote them, and it would be nice to get a little bit of reciprocal love. That it doesn't have to be monetary. I mean, just being able to have somebody tell us you've done a good job, or that we really enjoyed your photos, or something to make you feel like you've been heard.
I agree. Yeah, there's a symbiotic relationship that can take place. So let's move on with that to collaboration and networking, because I would like to get your insight into how you've gone about either connecting with brands, or maybe how others have approached you, and just some sort of tips and tricks of what that could be, or maybe what it should look like.
Sure. So I love, let's see. I don't normally contact makers unless I'm working on a particular project. That if it's something that I can't obtain on my own, then I'll reach out to them and just say, I'm working on this project. I'd love for you to be included. One of my favorite projects was from 2017, that Time to Eat Chocolate out on the East Coast, and I worked on a project to feature bean to bar makers from as many states as had them. And at that time it was 37. So we kind of split up between the two of us. And then I reached out to people, and I continue to be friends with some of these people, like Sweet Manu in Nebraska, I'd never heard of before, and then now is one of my favorites. And then Chocolatasm is just telling me that he had made a Cointreau bonbon. So then it was, again, I was working on a project and I was reaching out to people that I knew. I think that that's what I encourage people to do, is choose a brand that you admire, or one that you want to help succeed. Don't expect that you're going to get freebies. I mean, makers aren't rich. We aren't rich as bloggers either, but it's got to be a mutual benefit to both parties. That I think that approaching a maker, it's got to be, you have to be honest and open with the intent, saying, here's my plan. I'm planning on doing a story. I'm planning on doing a post. Here's the time frame. Just being authentic and genuine is one of the most important things. I think that you don't want, you had mentioned in kind of the emails behind the scenes, was faux pas of ads. You know, I don't want to feel like I'm a mouthpiece for somebody. I want to be able to speak in my own voice and be able to say, you know, the good. I won't necessarily talk about the bad, but I mean, there might be some things that I'm not the target audience for, but somebody else might love it. So I'm not going to say anything bad, but I still want to encourage people to have their voice, be authentic, and be able to just have genuine engagement, rather than getting something and then either not doing anything about it or trashing it, because you don't want to be negative just for the sake of being negative.
Mm-hmm. And what might makers do to establish this relationship, or what is appealing to you in terms of how they can get in contact with you, that it isn't salesy, or it isn't feeling like it's a pressured situation?
Sure. I think that it's important to have that genuine engagement. That I know makers don't always have a lot of time to engage on social media, but just to be able to write a little note, like I said, acknowledge when people post, or that they at least saw and responded. I react better when it's somebody that I've had a relationship with, as opposed to completely out of the blue. If it's completely out of the blue, I'm thinking, okay, is this a gimmick? Is this some sort of sham? You know, and I think it goes both ways. That I would not necessarily approach makers that I haven't already had a relationship with somehow on Instagram or through buying their products. That I think that it feels more genuine to be able to have that connection, that networking. And so I would recommend that makers find something that, do you like the aesthetic of that person's posts? Do you like their photos? Do you like their writing style? Are they enthusiastic? What type of engagement do they have? Don't just look at the number of followers that somebody has, but at least connect with them on how well they represent the chocolates. You know, maybe it's aspirational. They want to have an aesthetic like that, or they really enjoy what the person's doing.
That's great advice. Yeah, it's really interesting when brands can collaborate with others that they align in similar values to.
Yes.
How are we on time? I know you're monitoring.
So then it says 10:49 on mine.
Okay, we've got just about 10 minutes left. So we can maybe stay here with one final question, and then we'll head into the community piece as we close out here.
Okay.
I just think that it's a very trying time, perhaps, that we're going to be approaching in the next few weeks. And I want to be cognizant to that idea that there's going to be a lot of brands that are hurting in a way to access or to invent or to maintain their normal. And I'm curious, Trish, from your point of view, maybe what both parties could do to ensure that we're keeping chocolate as an important piece of our lives.
Sure. No, I love that some of these makers are making the chocolate more accessible. That some of the local ones are being able to deliver within their own community. They do curbside deliveries that you can call ahead. just, I think it's, remember that these people are out there in your community, that you want them to remain in your community, so you need to support them, whether it be locally or whether it be within the same country. That, you know, I'm buying stuff from Monsoon, I'm buying stuff from Sweet Menu, I'm buying stuff from MAP, I'm buying stuff from Foxglove, and these are, you know, within my geographic area. And then I think that if each person is able to buy some things from the makers that they want to support, and then also the makers kind of having either some discounts or making it a little bit more appealing, because we're on a budget as well, to be able to just be able to, both parties, make it, I think, more accessible during this time that we're all struggling to have a community. And chocolate, like I said, chocolate builds community. That each time we eat something, we think about the maker who's made it, the farmers, the distributors, the supply chain. And so then being able to have that in mind and continue to talk about it, you know, to maybe have virtual tastings, or today is tangential tasting Twin Tuesday. So then it's kind of the virtual global chocolate tasting, that we have a theme, and this week's theme is the letter D. So be creative and choose bars and write about it, and be able to entice people to start being more active in their community.
Let's walk through that more. So that's something that you launched. How did that come to be, and what is it exactly? It sounds like it's a means of sharing chocolate, but how might we do so?
Sure.
From
So then,
the comfort of our home.
In the LA area, there's not a lot of people that I'm able to taste with, and I always felt lonely, that I wanted to have tastings with friends, and with the time zone difference, it wasn't really feasible. So it kind of started out as tag team tasting, or at least this was something that I had thought about. That one day I just looked on my feed and said, here's a bar that sounded interesting. And so then I looked at my stash. Did I have one that was similar? And then I posted about it, and I encouraged other people to post about it. And one of my earliest adopters was Choc Coffee Wine, Shay, and I think she was able to say, oh, I'm going to be a twin with you, that I have a bar just like yours. And so then there were other people that said, well, I don't have something like that, but I have something similar. So then we did it as Tangent. So the concept is you have a theme, a starting theme, and somebody posts, and you have a bar that's similar, that's a twin. You have a bar that is not quite exact, you go on a tangent. And so then it's just, it allows people to be very creative and free form. That with the letter D, you could have dark chocolate, you can have what would be dandelion, you would have Dewar, you could have Discover chocolate, you could have Dominican Republic. There's so many ways that you can connect, that you don't have to be limited by just the name of the maker. It could be the brand, it could be the origin, or it could be an inclusion.
And right now this exists through Instagram, correct? Or like, what might be the steps one would take to participate?
So every Tuesday we would have a hashtag, that hashtag TTTT, and then it would be the 2-digit day, and then the 3-letter abbreviation for the month. So today is 24 MAR, MAR. So then we try and just post and have that hashtag, and then it'll all be in one place, and we can all see each other's posts and create that community. And every Tuesday we're going to be doing a different letter of the alphabet. So then today's D, and then next week will be E, and then so on.
Great. What have you learned from that experience? Because that sounds like a means of you going about not having to shout into the void, so to speak, but to be able to create this connection and link with others. But what has been a key takeaway for you?
It's been so fun because we feed off of each other. That at the beginning it was just me and a couple of other people, and then new people were intrigued and wanted to join and wanted to brag about their own stash. You know, that they had bars that were languishing, and now they had the opportunity to share them. And it's been fun to feed off of each other. That I learned so much from my fellow TTTers that they inspire me daily. And so then I think another thing of creating community is just people have goals or they have projects in mind, and being able to just be supportive of one another. That we have a little group chat and be able to just check up on each other. Right now with COVID, that we're staying at home, we each have our own different situations, family obligations, etc. And it's been such a lifesaver to be able to be comforted by each other. That it's almost like a sisterhood, that we each rely on each other and feel that we can rely on them for the moral support.
Comforted by chocolate. I'm sure we can all agree.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to throw a quick curveball at you because there was a request from someone to offer this question in our interview. And we'll see if something comes to mind. If not, we'll walk through another scenario together. But in previous episodes of the Well-Tempered podcast that have been through the audio portion, I've asked guests what the 3 chocolates they would take to the cosmos were. And since you've been one of the most preeminent tasters in the world now at nearly 1,500 chocolates, I would love to know if there have been 3 standouts for you.
Right. Oh my gosh. So then I'll take a white chocolate, dark milk, and a dark. How's that? So then white chocolate, Mount Chocolate made this one white chocolate just recently that had ancho mole chili, and it was a cookie crumble. So I think it was a Christina Tosi recipe. So I'll take that.
This is not the miso crumb?
No.
Okay.
But that one's interesting too. But then, so then a dark milk. I don't know that I have anyone in particular. I think Castronovo has a dark milk that is just so creamy. So I don't know. It's very comforting. And then a dark chocolate. I don't know how to choose a dark chocolate, but 2020 chocolate from Venezuela makes some excellent, just buttery and comforting as well. That they had one that had green mango with salt, and that one was just it just makes your mouth water. And I think it was just so surprising, the combination of flavors, and being able to meet them in person and being able to hear their story was something that really inspired me.
Excellent. Yeah, we certainly cannot forget to support our partners in country of origin during this time as well. Great. Well, I would be happy to wrap up the episode here. I am so grateful for your time today, and I'm also honored that we've been able to participate in this festival and acknowledge that there are incredible people like yourself who are moving the industry forward in ways that are outside of chocolate making or writing, for articles for newspapers. So there's definitely an entire team community of people that support this, and it's been a joy to get to know your story a little further today.
Thank you very much. I'm honored, and it's exciting that we were the first ones of the festival, and I can't wait to see what else goes on from here on out.
Exactly. So everyone can follow the hashtag #StayHomeWithChocolate, and we will do our best to get this up for the next 24 hours. And again, thank you all for your support, and thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, Trish. Ciao from Spain.
Ciao.